Corey Brettschneider is a political science professor at Brown University, where he teaches constitutional law. He's also the co-host of the Oath and the Office podcast. Thank you so much for joining us, Corey. I mean, I have to say, for people outside the United States, they're pretty confused by this story, and they hear about the shells, it becomes even more confusing. Can you just make sense of it for them?
Well, I'd say it's as awful as it looks, that the right to free speech, the right to criticize our leaders, the right to use expressions that are common in our vocabulary are all what democracy is about. And in any stable democracy, we have a right to free speech that gives us the ability to criticize our leaders. And that's obviously, I mean, on its face, what Comey is doing. This was not a threat. It was a criticism at best of the administration. And yet he's finding himself on trial. He isn't yet on trial, but facing an indictment. And what that's about, if you just zoom out a little bit, is Trump's promise to shut down his political opponents and going after Letitia James. He tried to go after Comey with a different set of facts. Now he's looking for another set of facts. And he also, you know, in the past, our Department of Justice would have said, we're bound to uphold the law. And now what we have in the Department of Justice is a bunch of flunky loyalists, and they're willing to do whatever this president says. He got rid of his previous attorney general because she wouldn't do this kind of thing. And here you have it, an attempt to shut down the opposition, to shut down free speech.
I mean, isn't that the most extraordinary part of this? Legal experts like yourself all seem unanimous in the view that there isn't a case here. It's the, legitimately the president can have his issues with Comey and Comey can have his issues with the president. You know, no one's arguing with that, freedom of speech and all that. But it is extraordinary that the courts are already siding in a way in a case that, most legal experts shouldn't be brought.
Absolutely. I mean, one temptation, of course, is to say this is unprecedented. And what we've been doing on the Oath in the Office podcast is talking about why, although it is horrific, it's not unprecedented. We've had moments in our past in which this has happened. An extraordinary period is, if you go all the way back to the founding of the United States in 1798, John Adams was essentially offended that newspaper editors were criticizing him and his family, including his son, and passed a Sedition Act, which made it a crime to criticize him, the president, but not a crime to criticize his chief rival, the vice president of the United States, Thomas Jefferson. And what ensued were 126 political prosecutions that did shut down the opposition party. That was a long time ago, but you see Trump trying to do that. I think that's the parallel. People talk about Nixon, and there was an enemies list, but Nixon didn't try anything in the open like this. He really is trying to use the arm of government, the arm of the criminal law, in order to shut down the opposition.
Do you think it's backfiring for the president because of the way Comey's handling it?
Look, I wish I could say that democracy is resilient, which it is, and I certainly have hope that we have a long tradition in this country of democracy and free speech. And if movements like No Kings can tap into that, well, then I'm hopeful. I'm also hopeful that the court system will say that there is no case here and won't allow this to move to trial. But the reality is that the president is enormously powerful in our system, which is increasingly the system of the unitary executive, where the president has complete control over the Justice Department and has figured out how to exercise that control by firing anyone who disagrees with him. There's a danger. And look, even if this doesn't result in a successful prosecution, there's a chilling effect. And opponents of the president start thinking to themselves, do I really want to go through the risk that I might wind up in prison? As I said, we've seen this before if you go back to the 18th century, but we had thought as a country, we had rebuffed that. The newspaper editors in that story I told used their own trials to put Adams on trial, and never did the Sedition Act return. Thomas Jefferson allowed it to expire. And yet here we have a crime of criticizing the president essentially being revived, not in explicit law, but by looking for these phony prosecutions. And yes, as much as I want to say it won't work, it could work, and it's a dangerous point for this country and for the world.
Okay, Corey, appreciate it. Thank you.